Appeasement is no way to win wars or women. Originally published May 12th, 2014. Maxim number 54. A woman's happiness is inversely proportional to efforts to accommodate her demands. Corollary to maxim number 54. The more a woman's demands are catered, the more irrational will her future demands become. Appeasement is relationship death. Appeasement is a dampening oscillation that brings a woman's tingle to rest. There is hardly a self-defeating behavior a man can exhibit more hazardous to his love life than appeasement of his woman's fickle and endlessly reconsidered stipulations. Once you go down the road of appeasement, the cliffside is an inevitability. Given this reality of human nature, the riddle is why so many men resort to appeasement when the heat is on. Part of the reason for the reflexive beta male embrace of the appeasement strategy is that it does work occasionally and only temporarily. Betas are so scared, pictured a shriveling, frightened little bunny as a symbol of their state of minds, to provoke their women's ire, that appeasement becomes not only the emotionally satisfying recourse, but also the logically rationalized one based on retrieved pleasant memories from those few times it did work when nothing else worked for them. Barring competing effective strategies to pacify a pissy wife or girlfriend, an appeasement gambit only has to work, say, 1 out of every 10 times for it to become the go-to prostration for the befuddled beta males. And remember that in a beta male's worldview, a working romantic strategy is one that doesn't end with his lover leaving him. The bar for healthy LTR management is set very low in the beta universe. For comparison, the typical alpha male standard of satisfying relationship health is the continuance of morning surprise hummers. A beta husband may be able to briefly calm his wife down by appeasing her, but the escape he narrowly engineers is just a trap door to a pit of lifelong termagant torment. That's the poison appeasement pill he swallows. Quick relief, followed by progressive system failure. Tragically and comically, he knows no other way. Commenter having a bad day serves up his own hard lesson in the futility of appeasing women. Quote, "My wife was like that too. Pick a fight for no reason, not getting enough attention, blah, blah, blah. It almost ruined me in my quote-unquote happy home." But wife's behavior was based on the best friend model of marriage that was indoctrinated into my impressionable young mind throughout my life. Who knew that women didn't really know what they want? That's the real crazy. I had bought into the feminine imperative and was trying to have it all. Best friend, lover, confidant, etc. And she hated it. She was a follower because all women are followers if they are happy. Just like the teachings around here state. It really is true. If they are happy, they are following someone they can look up to, admire, respect, feel safe and protected by, blah, blah, blah. If not, not happy. The crazy comes out when she doesn't have that in a way that is unmistakable. She'll put pressure on the relationship, shit test, to check for leaks. No leaks equals anything you want, with a big shit-eating grin at being able to please her leader. The big crazy comes out the same way you train a guard dog. You push it a little, it fights. You let it win. You push a little harder, it reacts, you let it win. Soon enough, you can break a baseball bat over its head and it'll still rip your arm off. Same with women. And younger, more fertile, aka hotter, the woman, the faster the escalation goes. So she can win at uncovering the beta traits, or alpha, so anything you want, just use me and not that hotter chick over there. Because her body knows that her time is short and it wants those better genes. My marriage was shot because of the friendship model, but I got some game and turned it around thanks to this place and the related outposts, and for that I'm truly thankful. My wife is ecstatically happy, deferent, doesn't pick fights, apologizes for being crabby or in a bad mood, goes out of her way to offer support, etc. In other words, she has become much more feminine. She does not want to go back to the best friends model of marriage. Just today I was doing something and happened to slip back into a beta response to something. She got kind of panicky and told me, I don't want you to beat me, but you need to sack up and make a decision. That's a direct quote. She did not want me to be her, I don't know, what do you think, best friend, and say, yes, there was a little bit of panic in her eyes, but only a little, and then it went away when I told her what I wanted, so she could work on being a good follower. Better follower equals happier woman. Unquote. Why do women come to resent their appeasement in time? The male mind formulates, she's getting what she wants, why isn't she happy? The problem is projection. The male mind draws a direct connection between wants and demands. Accounting for a few Machiavellian exceptions, when a man makes a rare relationship demand, you know that's what he wants. And so men project their mental experience onto women. But what most men, and most men are betas by definition who lack a sufficient learning curve in the hearts and beds of women, don't comprehend is that women have a disconnect between their demands and their wants. When a woman makes a demand within the context of a relationship, it's a reflection of her want, not the want itself. Her demands are better understood as either childlike gropings towards self-expression of confusing and troubling emotions, or subconscious jabbers, tests of mind, that aid her in her hypergamous quest to obtain the best man her looks and femininity can afford her. Seen in this way, appeasement is a strategy that misses the mark entirely, or worse, fuels the resentment because it is evidence of failure to live up to a woman's ideal lover and protector. And it makes sense if you put yourself in women's stilettos. Appeasement is the biopolitical strategy for the weak, and what women wants to be with a weak man. Weak men are inherently untrustworthy. You can't know with requisite certainty that a weak man will have your back when the threats emerge. Girl power glorification notwithstanding to the contrary, women are slaves to their hatred for weak men, and a man jaw or six-figure salary won't change that innate female revulsion for pliant men. This visceral revulsion is so strong that even the obvious benefits of a reliable and generous provider can't fully extinguish a woman's bodily disgust at the thought of receiving his seed. Quote, and this is quoting a study here that he posted a link to. Okay, so quote, women with a really good, stable guy felt more distant at high fertility periods than low fertility periods. That isn't the case with women who are mated to particularly sexually attractive men. The closeness of their relationship just got a boost prior to ovulation. To ensure that the findings were not an anomaly, Hasselton and Larson repeated the experiment with 67 other co-eds in long-term relationships. This time, however, the researchers administered a better recognized measure for relationship satisfaction than the one they originally used. They also administered a questionnaire aimed at eliminating a dimension not studied in the first round, pickiness. The questionnaire asked the woman to rate how characteristic such faults as being moody, childish, emotional, thoughtless, and critical were of their mate. The researchers found that women mated to the less sexually attractive men were significantly more likely to find fault within their partners and again feel less close to their partners during high fertility periods than low fertility periods. Women who rated their mates as more sexually attractive, meanwhile, did not exhibit these changes and instead reported being more satisfied with their relationship at high fertility rather than low fertility. The researchers believe the findings shed light on a suite of conflicting behaviors that stem from mating strategies that might have provided an evolutionary benefit to women's female ancestors of long ago, but today probably serve no other purpose than to stir the domestic pot. Since our female ancestors couldn't directly examine a potential partner's genetic makeup, they had to base their decisions on physical manifestations of the presence of good genes and the absence of genetic mutations, which might include masculine features such as a deep voice, masculine face, dominant behavior, and sexy looks, said Hasselton, who is affiliated with the UCLA's Center for Behavior, Evolution, and Culture, unquote. Men can't pragmatically change their Hollywood looks, but they can change their behavior to conform more dominant behavior that is typically associated with irresistible alpha males. A big first step that doesn't require huge amounts of willpower is simply avoiding the temptation to appease women. Quote, they also plan to look into how, if at all, the aggrieved female behavior is perceived by the male partners of these women. We don't know if men are picking up on this behavior, but if they are, it must be confusing them, Larson said, unquote. You bet it's confusing for them. If by them you mean beta and omega males with limited experience navigating the shoals of women's ids. Men who have bedded more than 2 or 3 women know the score, and the female behavior that's confusing for most is for them an opportunity to play and enlarge the scope of their authority. The plain fact of this highlights the trade-off inherent in the womanizing lifestyle. The sexual experience that permits exploitation of women's mate choice, ploys to one's personal benefit, will also degrade a man's ability to feel transcendent emotional attachment. Knowing inevitably leads to cynicism, which is corrosive to romanticism and relationship stability, unless one has the unearthly capacity to resolve the tension between self-interest and self-transcendence. Relationship appeasement, then, is a Pyrrhic victory, buying time at best. When you stand accused by your woman, don't act like a guilty party. Instead, act like a powerful authority figure suffering a self-incriminating tantrum from one of his acolytes, no matter who is technically at fault. To all the beta male readers, next time you feel the need to appease, stop and do the opposite. Pacification is the province of puss boys. You will take the road less traveled, the road to goad. Expect pushback. That's a good thing. If you can stand strong against the immediate headwinds, you'll find a tranquil and deliriously scenic vista open up before your eyes.